Hello and welcome. In this video, we'll be going over the editor's interface section of the Godot documentation. When you first launch Godot, you'll be greeted with the project manager window. When you need to change anything, you can click on settings here in the top right. You can change your language right here at the very top, change your theme or color preset right here. If you don't want the project manager to access the internet, then you can switch from online to offline. And something that I personally like to do is change the directory naming convention from kebab case that it defaults to over to snake case, but that's me. Creating a new project is pretty easy. Here in the top left corner, you just click on create, name it whatever you want, set the project path to whatever you want it to be. You can choose the render here, and you can change this in the future if you don't like it. We have version control, and I'm unchecking edit now because I don't want to edit it right now. Hit create, and there you go. Let me show you just a couple things in the file browser. So if you want to set a folder as your favorite, you just use the star, so it'll pop up over here. If you need to make a new folder, click on this create new folder button. If you want to switch between the grid view and the list view, you can just use these two buttons right here. If you want to import a pre-existing project, just click on import existing project. What you're looking for is the project.godot file. Double click on that and hit import. And then if you want to open it, just double click on this. It may ask you to convert it to whatever version you're using. Just hit OK. Not only can you use a project.godot file to import your project, you can also use a zip of the entire game directory. If we move over to the asset library, in here you can find things like templates, projects, and demos if you want to just try something out. The project manager's tagging system is pretty easy to use. Have a project selected and then go to manage tags. Don't have any, so I'm gonna hit the plus sign and we'll just type in 3D. Hit OK, and it will automatically apply that new tag to the project. You need to search for it, you just type in tag and then 3D like that. This is case sensitive, so if you were to type in capital D, it wouldn't work. If you have a space, it will also not work. If you don't like this tag and you want to get rid of it, click on manage tags, and you do have to remove it from any project that it's assigned to. Hit OK. When you start up the project manager again, the tag will be gone for good. If you have a project that's immediately crashing when you run it, have it selected, click on this arrow right here, then edit in recovery mode. As you can see here, recovery mode disables tool scripts, editor plugins, GD extension add-ons, and automatic scene restoring. When you're done in recovery mode, you'll need to obviously clear this out and click on this little reload icon. If you look on the right hand side of the screen, this doc is known as the inspector doc. If it happens to be missing, you can re-enable it by going to editor, editor docs, and then inspector right here. The inspector lets you see the properties of whatever node or resource you have selected. Whatever node you happen to have selected will display over here at the top. Next to that will be a little quick link to go right to the documentation for the class that it is. And if it has any sub-resources, if you click on the name of the node, you can see them right here. The search bar right here allows you to filter for properties. Properties are, of course, these properties that are listed underneath the class name. So if we want to look at up direction, we just type in up direction. There it is. If you need more information about a property, you can of course hover over it. You can also right click on it and go to open documentation and it will take you right to it. If you need to edit a property, you can of course just click in here and type in a new value, but you can also click and drag instead. If you find yourself editing a property often, you can always right click on it and click on favorite property, and there it will appear right at the top. The last little section you might want to know about is this little tools icon. Here it lets you obviously expand everything or collapse everything to clean up. You can change the property name style. I don't really like that. You can copy properties, paste properties. You can also make all of your sub-resources unique. It's useful to make sub-resources unique if, for example, you duplicated a node and they're sharing a resource, but you want them to have unique resources for each one. There are two main ways to edit your project settings. Let me show you the more inconvenient way of doing it first. Within your project folder, there will be a project.godot file. And if you were to open this, it would look like this. You can edit it here. It's not recommended. So let's close out of that. In here, what you can do instead is go to project settings, and here's where you'll see the majority of your project settings, and it's a lot easier to edit them. In here we also have a filter for settings, so you can go ahead and type in something like memory and it will show you everywhere in the settings where you can adjust something that has to do with memory. We can also edit our project settings directly from code. So let's go in here, let's make a ready function, and we can use something like project settings.set setting, and then what about application/run max FPS, and then we'll set it to 60. And what this will do is when this node readies up, it will set the max FPS for the project to 60 FPS. Some settings will only be changed when the game first runs. So this may not work. instead what you can do is something better like engine.max FPS is equal to 60. Again, this is specific to what you're trying to change. Just as we were able to set the setting, we can also get the setting. So you can also do something like var max underscore FPS is equal to project settings dot get setting and then application run max FPS. So in theory, this will get the max FPS from project settings and assign it to a variable. However, this may also not always work, since some project settings are only read once at startup. So it's better to read the value from the runtime equivalent property or method, like so. Do var max FPS is equal to engine.max underscore FPS, like that. Lastly, if there's any settings you're looking for that are missing, make sure you click on advanced settings right up here. You'll have access to more. Now for the script editor. The script editor can be opened by clicking on script at the top of the interface, as well as these little script icons if they're attached to a node. Let's say you get a warning message and it is bugging you, either because they'll be in your output or if you click on this, warnings right here. So right here, it's going to nag me about the parameter that I'm not using. If I don't feel like fixing it, you can just click on ignore, then it'll put this and it will ignore it and stop bothering you. Here on the left side of the script editor, you can see all of your open GDScript files. If you've been wondering why the highlight color for these changes as you go through them from a more saturated color to a faded one, that's actually something called script temperature. If you go to editor settings and you type in temperature, you can see the script temperature enabled and disabled setting. If you don't like that, I'm just going to leave it on. If this gear icon gets saturated, if it turns into a color, it means that it's currently running. And if you don't want to see any of this, you can click on this arrow right here to hide it and unhide it. If you're wondering about the highlighted background behind the script here in the browser, this one means that I have this script currently selected. This one means that this mob.gd has nothing to do with my scene, and these two are because they are in my current scene. So main obviously is right here, player is right there, and score label is right here. You can also search for files by typing it in right there. And if you don't like the ordering, you can just click and drag and put it where you want it. Below that is all the methods that are in your file, and you can of course filter them just like that as well. The menus at the top of the script editor are pretty self-explanatory. I would just suggest you go through them yourself. In addition to that, I would also highly recommend learning the shortcut keys, as trying to come up here and click on everything would be a waste of your time. I will be covering debugging in more depth in another video. Within the script editor itself, this little icon means that this function is overriding another function, and if you click on that, it will take you to the original function that you're overriding. The little down arrows means you can fold it and unfold it. And if you want to edit the colors and things in here, you can go to editor, editor settings, and that was the correct place, text editor. All of these things can be changed. Now for customizing the interface, you can do the basics, such as going to a border between windows and clicking and dragging. If you want to make one of these docks floating, you just click on these three dots and choose make floating. If you want to put it back, just exit out. The script editor can also be made into its own little window like that. You can move it to a second monitor if you want to. You can do the same thing with the shader editor as well. Click on the three dots, make floating, same thing. If you've gotten all your docs in a certain way and you want to keep it like that, you can go to editor, editor layout, and then save a layout. After that, all you have to do is go down here and click on it and it will revert to your layout. After you've saved a layout, it'll appear down here and you just click on it and go right to it. And if you want to get rid of it, you just click on delete layout. You cannot delete the default layout. However, if you were to create a new layout and call it default, it will override that one, and then you will be able to delete that one to get back the original default layout. If you want to change editor settings, you go at the very top, click on editor and editor settings. This is saved into the Godot engine locally on your computer, and it's shared across project files. And this is another menu that I highly recommend you go through to get it set up the way you want it to be. That about covers it for the editor's interface section of the documentation. In our next video, we'll be going over the 2D section of the documentation. Thank you for watching. Hope it was helpful. Goodbye.